What's up guys, Phoenix here, and we're back with another video. This time we're going to be entering a super futuristic night city to check out Cyberpunk 2077. It's tough to know what to say about Cyberpunk 2077 if you don't mention the massive controversy surrounding it. It was highly anticipated, it was hugely delayed, and made by CD Projekt Red, who developed the Wicked Witcher series. I was lucky enough to review it on the Series X, and it is available on last generation, but we'll get to that.
Looking for a girl named Evelyn Parker. I know she came here to your clinic.
Yes, but I have a procedure I must finish.
Your life path in Cyberpunk is decided at the beginning of the game. You can either be a nomad, street kid, or corpo. This choice gives you access to alternative dialogue later on, but you're not quite sure how far this extends. The main story follows your character V, who's a cybernetically enhanced male or female character, and he's trying to make it big in a super futuristic night city. But he gets stuck with the psyche of an industrial terrorist and rock star, Jonny Silverhand, in his head. And as we know, you can't have two psyches in one head, because that's a thing. It's tempting to take over control of his body, which is an interesting concept, and the tension between Silverhand and V can lead to some fun interactions. Silverhand is played by Keanu Reeves, yep, that Keanu Reeves, and instead of just a cameo, he plays an important role through your journey. Other characters that V encounters are equally as important and well written. Their relationships can change through your interactions with them. I had one character early on who I'd later managed to annoy to the point that every conversation I had with him resulted in me receiving a fair amount of verbal abuse. It made me feel like I was actually shaping the world through my own actions.
He mentioned a moth of all things. Virtues with a death's head. Said she'd be good for the moth.
The music in Cyberpunk 2077 is perfect. I can't stress enough how well the music fits the game. The volume increases whenever you find yourself in a firefight, and everything from the in-car radio to the ad jingles that can be heard in just about every elevator is done in a really dynamic way. The sound effects go hand in hand with the music, and the voice acting in this game is great. There's a few occasions where the odd character seems a bit wooden, but there's always something to hear. It's like your ears never get a break, and that's not a bad thing, because it really brings the game to life. There's also some really funny conversations to be overheard just by walking the streets, and the dynamic between V and the other main characters bring a level of emotion to the game that's often overlooked.
I think Judy's lying. Why?
Little something called intuition, V. Ever heard of it?
Oh, so what you meant to say was you're full of shit. Got it.
Besides the controversy surrounding the game, which we will discuss later, the graphics on the Series X are amazing. The lighting effects are fantastic, and the level of detail really shows what CD Projekt Red are capable of. There's a lot of graphics options available to you as well, so if you don't like a particular effect such as film grain, you can just switch it off. The graphics are pretty realistic, and it's easy to imagine a world like this could exist at some point in the future. I didn't experience any major graphical issues during my time with the game, like there was no textures popping in and out, and I didn't experience any noticeable dips in frame rate. There are some moments when you look out into the distance where objects at long range can appear to lose resolution slightly, but these are blink and you'll miss it moments and had no impact on my enjoyment of the game.
You look to me like a reasonable man. I think we can work something out.
And you look to me like a psycho prick who's never been ghosted by his beau or bill before. But go on, I'm listening.
The controls in Cyberpunk can feel a little tricky to get to grips with at first, particularly if you've got experience with popular first-person shooter games like Call of Duty. But there are a lot of controller settings that you can customise, so with a little time you can tailor these to your own playstyle to where you feel most comfortable.
V, I need you to acquire something. Only me, no client. So I expect quick and clean results.
There's a hell of a lot to do in Night City. I mean, you can spend a lot of time walking around doing nothing and still not get bored because of all the background conversations and events that take place all around you. You're never more than a short distance away from a bunch of activities, and each of which seems unique in its own way. Some jobs can be given via phone calls from your contacts, whereas other missions can be randomly encountered by being in the right place at the right time. I saw a couple of police knocking on my neighbour's door and stood around watching, only for a quest to begin which was both unexpectedly emotional and led to an interesting conversation with Silverhand. In terms of upgrades, there's a deep skill tree for your character build. These can enhance everything from your hacking ability to your inventory size and offer a fair amount of abilities to unlock. But during one mission I found that I needed a level 10 technical ability to open a grate, and only having level 8 I had to go out and do other things, and that kind of felt forced. Instead, I learned to hold on to the points until I needed them, and allocated them where necessary. This made my game seem more fluid, and it didn't feel like I've made the game any harder for myself. The main storyline can take as much or as little time as you like. I finished it in around 16 hours on my first playthrough, but as I went back and completed more side quests and optional missions, it took me 40 plus hours, and I found that my actions in the world had altered some events slightly. This made me want to return again and again to make different decisions and see how this played out. What Cyberpunk is lacking though is the ability to do simple things that should have been pretty basic, such as getting a haircut or tattoos. In terms of customization, at the beginning of the game you have a lot of options, but many of these can't be changed after that point. You can change clothing and upgrade your character through the skill point system, but it would have been nice to have had some more options in the game. Another thing I felt was lacking was vehicle customization. Once you buy a car or bike or are given one as a reward, it remains as it is. In future, I'd like to see CD Projekt Red put in some kind of custom shop for vehicles.
It's my untrained ear. Sounds alright, I guess. I mean, it's easy listening at least.
Know why? Technique's second rate. But the feeling? That's what counts.
At the time of recording this review, there's no New Game Plus option. However, CD Projekt Red added this option to The Witcher 3 long after release, so I'd expect it to make an appearance. There were some rumours floating around that there will be post-launch DLC, and now CD Projekt Red have finally confirmed we will be getting DLC at the start of 2021. If it offers us a similar amount of bonus content as what they gave us with the aforementioned Witcher, then I will be spending a lot more time in Night City.
Wanted me dead. Said so yourself.
Made it pretty clear since that I changed my mind. Want you to live now.
I must admit, Cyberpunk was hard to put down and I had a lot of fun playing. There was something interesting to be found around every corner, and sometimes I found myself just driving around the city taking in the sights. There was so much to do and see that I can't imagine myself getting bored for a very long time, and I felt it was varied enough that it didn't become repetitive.
Not here, not there. Who are you?
Name's V.
And what is it you want, V?
All these years, it's really her. Fucking rogue, just kicking it back on a couch.
Now you can't talk about Cyberpunk 2077 without talking about the controversy that surrounds it, and what a ride it's been. For a game that's been 8 years in development, people obviously had high hopes, and we all expected a masterpiece. I was lucky enough to play on the Series X, and on the new generation of consoles, Cyberpunk's a pretty amazing game. But running on an Xbox One, not so much. It's full of bugs and glitches, from ridiculously stupid AI to insane physics and everything in between. Whole quests have been broken, textures failed to render correctly, frame rate dipped constantly, and sometimes the game simply stopped working. It felt empty, like the life it had on the Series X seemed to have been sucked out of it. It wasn't long before Sony pulled the game from the Play Store, and both Sony and Microsoft began issuing full refunds. CD Projekt Red themselves issued an apology to players, and actively appeared to encourage players to seek refunds. Now they're in hot water again because reports are coming in that they're being sued by investors for misrepresenting the game in the footage they've shown. Like, just wow. One thing I know about CD Projekt Red from previous titles is that the post-launch support is some of the best in the industry. And while the game may not yet be up to par on PS4 or Xbox One, I've got no doubt they'll get there in the end. Though I kind of feel sorry for the developers in a way. I mean, I get that we have expectations, but to have things go so wrong must be a really hard pill to swallow when they've put in the sheer amount of effort that they have done. With No Man's Sky by Hello Games, when that was released in 2018, almost none of the features we had been shown were present. Almost everything promised was missing at launch, but nobody got sued and nobody demanded refunds. Us as a community allowed them time to continue their work, and now that game's shaping up to be as good as we were originally promised it would be. I think we all need to take a step back and offer CD Projekt Red the same courtesy. I'm not saying they're completely unaccountable, but I think we should have faith that in time Cyberpunk could be the masterpiece we've all been asking for, and I've got complete faith that CD Projekt Red will work all out to make sure that happens, just as they have in the past with The Witcher. I'll revisit the subject in a couple of months and see where they're at, so stay tuned for it.
I'm afraid of becoming someone else. Forgetting who I am.
You're already becoming someone else. Every second of every day.
Overall on the Series X, Cyberpunk is a fantastic game. For an open world like this with all the detail and dynamics involved, it was a big ask of CD Projekt Red to get it right first time. And the controversy aside, I think they did exactly as they set out to do, for the most part. I particularly enjoyed driving around the city in first person though. I mean, for a team that has mostly dealt with travel on horseback, they nailed it. I would have liked to have seen more in-game customization from shops, just like you see in other open world games like GTA. Occasionally the AI did seem a little simple, and I also felt like the police were not as present in a city overrun by crime as I would have expected. The way they spawn when you commit a crime, the lack of police patrols, and the fact that NCPD vehicle chases seem non-existent are all issues I think really do need to be addressed. The best parts of this game, besides Keanu Reeves though, are the characters. The way the story can weave a tangled web around each individually, and the way each individual interacts with your character feels real, and at times can bring human emotion into a cybernetic world.
Just let me know how she's doing. Okay?
I'll give you a call, okay?
Thanks. Thank you, V.
It's really difficult to give this game an overall rating though. It depends what platform you're playing on. For the Series X, I'd score it a healthy 8 out of 10, because I feel like it's a great game, but it's not without its flaws, and it doesn't quite reach the level of quality as other recent open world RPGs such as Assassin's Creed Valhalla. However, if you're playing on an Xbox One or PS4, I would advise waiting, at least until the developers have put out some fixes, otherwise you're going to be in for a massive disappointment. In its current state, I couldn't give it more than 4.5 out of 10 on last gen, which is sad to say, but the sheer amount of issues it's got can't be overlooked. I do plan on reviewing it again when the Series X version is fully released, and I hope by that point many of these earlier problems will have been fixed. I'm also hopeful that CD Projekt Red can make Cyberpunk into the game we all wished it would be, but in its current form it's just not there yet.
Never look back. If you gotta kill, kill. If you gotta burn it all to the ground, then let it burn.
Check out some of the other reviews on our channel and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an upload.